Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
It is 8:07 on News Talk 105.9 WMAL. We are making sense of the news, even more so on this glorious 4th of July. Happy Independence Day, one and all. I'm Andrew Langer, in for Larry O'Connor and Patrice Onwuka today. We got all kinds of stuff going on in this hour. Roma Daravi is going to be joining us from the Kennedy Center. They got fun stuff happening tonight. Scotty Hughes, now a senior fellow at the Frontiers of Freedom, is going to join us. She's got an idea to capture the minds of young people across America. We're going to chat with her about that. Obviously, I'm going to read the Declaration of Independence later on. And we are joined right now by Emily Sturge. She is a reporter with Campus Reform. I had the pleasure of talking with her yesterday and was thrilled to have her back today. Emily, because we had on Jane Hampton Cook earlier to talk about the books that she's put together for young people. We are starting to see a change, not just amongst conservative young people, conservative Gen Zers, but across the political spectrum of a renewed love of country. Talk about this.
Absolutely. And good morning. Happy 4th of July. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you.
And I am so excited to celebrate a country of so much opportunity, a country of the moon landing, football, baseball, UFC fights, invented the automobile, invented the airplane, you name it. This country is so wonderful, and so many young people are really excited to celebrate it this holiday. And I'm seeing from young people a renewed sense of patriotism this year, and I think it definitely is related to their optimism under the current administration. As a reporter for the Leadership Institute's Campus Reform, I'm out on the ground talking to members of Generation Z every single day. And just within the last week, I've talked to dozens of my peers, dozens of Gen Zers, and they're seeing this resurgence of patriotism. The statistics back it up, too. We've seen a bump in patriotism under this administration. And I think it has to do with young people feel more confident that this president is bringing back the American dream.
Right. I mean, you feel better about the world, and you're seeing your objective reality square with what is actually happening out there in front of you. We're seeing this. You don't talk about this in the article, but we're seeing this, for instance, in the renewed interest in serving the United States military. Shocker, when you're actually called to serve your country and you know you're not going to be used for some kind of social experimentation, you actually want to go and serve. I mean, this is what you're talking about, isn't it?
This is exactly what I'm talking about. And that military recruitment boom, that is hard evidence of Gen Z's revival and patriotism. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, he called it the Trump bump. When after Trump was elected in the November election, the Army reported nearly 10,000 military recruits just in the next month. So remarkable. And it seems like it was that new commander-in-chief that was the main reason. I recently spoke to a young man who said that he plans to join this military under this administration. And when I asked him why, he simply said it's because the military is becoming the military again.
Right.
They're doing push-ups. They're doing pull-ups. They're taking away DEI. They're taking away all of the sensitivity nonsense. And those are his words. That's what he told me. And so the message is very clear. It seems like young men see that America has its backbone again. There's a renewed direction. America's youth want to serve under a commander-in-chief that prioritizes American strength, not leftism. And the surge in recruitment certainly indicates that rising optimism.
And then you're also looking at polling numbers. I mean, moving into other areas of national security in terms of sort of protecting us from other kinds of foreign threats, like the threat of illegal migrants and what happens there. Talk about what those numbers show.
Absolutely. So the point here is young people are supporting an administration that feels like we feel like it's fighting for us. And Generation Z supports deporting illegal criminal aliens because we want our neighborhoods safer. We want to be able to buy homes and raise families in safe neighborhoods. And a really remarkable statistic from a Yale Youth poll shows widespread Gen Z support for those deportations of criminal illegal aliens, with over 80% of voters under 30 supporting those deportations. And when it comes to the economy, too, Generation Z genuinely wants to see this administration do well. And I've talked to Gen Zers on both the left and the right, and I'm seeing bipartisan optimism when it comes to the economy specifically. There is really this sentiment of hope that this president is going to put more money in our wallets, help us get better jobs. Many of my peers are still in college, and I hear them talking about after graduation, they're worried about the job market, but they feel more confident under this administration than they did under the previous administration.
And we're talking with Emily Sturge. She's a reporter with Campus Reform, which is a project of the Leadership Institute. So let me ask you, Emily, I don't know if I asked you this yesterday. How are you spending your 4th of July? What's your Independence Day like?
Oh, I'm very excited to celebrate my 4th of July with lots of friends, my family up here in Washington, D.C. That would be my work family.
Sure, of course. Oh, my God, yeah, wait a minute. The big, hold on for a second, Emily. The big Leadership Institute picnic is today, isn't it?
Absolutely. We have a wonderful event going on today. We have the 4th of July soiree going on today, where we get to invite out members of the community. We get to talk to all the wonderful people that support our organization. We get to play some cornhole. We get to play some fun activities outside, and we'll be wrapping up the day with some fireworks. So I couldn't be more excited to be a part of this organization.
Time out for a second. How? Because that's open to the general public, right? There's a fee to go in. Can you talk about where it is and how folks go down to the LI event today? It's been a couple of years since I've been to it. It is so much fun to go to the 4th of July soiree you guys put on. Can you tell us where it is?
Absolutely. So our conservative soiree, it's in Washington, D.C. It is open to the public. If you look it up online, we have an events page at the Leadership Institute website, and you can find our address there. We are so excited to welcome members of the public of all ages. We'll be hosting fun events all day. All of our staff will be out there. So we will be hosting booths, we'll be hosting events, we'll be hosting games. We'll have speakers there. It's really exciting to see. But once again, you can find that information at leadershipinstitute.org just to find it in the easiest way.
Absolutely. Listen, we wish you the happiest 4th of July, Emily Sturge. You keep up with the great work that you are doing. How do they find out more about your personal social media?
Absolutely. So I'm reporting stories every single day at campusreform.org, and I'm at Real Emily Sturge on all social media platforms.
Real Emily Sturge, that's Sturge. Emily Sturge, thank you so very much for joining us today.
Yes, sir, it is. Thank you so much, and happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th of July. Happy Independence Day to you. It is really astounding to me. Just how great the change is. Now, listen, as the Democrats' sort of demographics and their political outlook shifts, the fact that more people are becoming more patriotic. It's funny. Real quick before we go to traffic, Jeff. This is a conversation I have with my good buddy. You heard me reference him earlier in the show. Jerry Rogers, the editor of Real Clear Policy, my co-host at Andrew and Jerry Save the World. Jerry is very Eeyore-ish about the world. I am a cautious optimist about these things. I see signs everywhere that give me great hope, and what Emily is talking about is what has done that. Listen, we will continue in just a moment, but first, it is 8:15 a.m.
WMAL, making sense of the news, live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Roma, have I been mispronouncing your last name all these years? I put the emphasis on the second syllable in your last name. Is it Daravi or is it Daravi?
You're not wrong either way. So
okay.
It's Daravi.
That's what I thought. Okay.
If you were to say Daravi, that would actually be like the Farsi,
okay.
The Persian way.
Well, our guest is Roma Daravi. She is the spokeswoman and vice president of public relations for the Kennedy Center. Listen, you were the one guest that I wanted to make sure I was going to have on today because I can't tell you how thrilled I was when I found out you were going to be going to work for the Kennedy Center. I mean, as I say to people who get nervous about changes, when folks I trust and have a great deal of respect for get appointed to these jobs, it gives me great pause. And I'm someone who I love music. I love musical theater. I hate ideology when it intrudes into all of this. And so the fact that you're over there really gives me great hope. Let's start, before we talk about what you guys are doing today for Independence Day over there, let's talk about what's going on, the programmatic changes. What can we expect and how can I come out and see what's going on? I was invited to one of the Les Mis performances, and I couldn't go. But what all is going on with the Kennedy Center these days?
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, we're really excited to be entering the institution. Me personally, am just so blessed to be there. But really what you can expect from the Kennedy Center moving forward is programming that everybody wants to see. And you will hear from us on WMAL because we are now talking to WMAL.
Wow.
I mean, that is in and of itself a shift. So we're here. We're reaching out to everybody in the community. People on all sides of the aisle are welcome at the Kennedy Center. And the programming is just going to get better and better. We already have, as you mentioned, Les Mis on our stage. Last week we had the Dolly Parton Symphony, My Song and Threads. That was absolutely unbelievable. Next week we have Sesame Street, the musical, coming. And you're just going to see more and more family-friendly programming, more faith-based programming. And of course, as we enter the next year, you're going to see more America-based programming to celebrate America 250.
Let me tell you, I'm putting out to my colleagues at CPAC that when we're at CPAC next winter in Dallas, that we need to do a staged reading of 1776. We need to bring 1776 back to the Kennedy Center, not necessarily the one that we do at CPAC. More Sondheim, it can't go wrong. I got all kinds of ideas. They did on Broadway a musical production, off-Broadway, a musical production of Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol, which was just brilliant. We need to bring that to the Kennedy Center. But you guys have lots of stuff going on this weekend. You can celebrate your Independence Day with the Kennedy Center. Roma, Daravi, tell us more about that.
Yes, well, a lot of people don't know, but the Kennedy Center is open 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to midnight.
I did not know that.
And what's different today, what's different on the 4th of July is for the first time ever, we are actually opening up our building. We are turning on the lights and the air conditioning, and people are welcome at the Kennedy Center on the 4th of July. So
wow.
There will be food and drinks available for purchase. There's going to be, the entire lawn of the Reach will be open. You can bring, your own snacks. You can bring a picnic basket. You can bring a blanket, hang out with your friends. So starting at 2 o'clock today, the doors will be open. Food and drinks will be available. And then when you get later into the evening, we're actually going to be simulcasting the National Symphony Orchestra, a Capitol Fourth concert, live from the mall onto the video wall of the Reach. So you can hang out outside of the Kennedy Center and look at what we typically use as our summer movie screening wall and actually show the live concert of the symphony right there from the Kennedy Center.
Imagine this, a federal service building actually being used to provide, things that people want on the most important, American, national holiday. I mean, this is amazing to me that it's taken this long, Roma. But that's what it's all about, and that's what the sea change is all about over at the Kennedy Center.
Absolutely. The leadership finds nothing more important than making sure that everyone feels welcome at the Kennedy Center. It's our number one priority. We obviously are dealing with, some really, really terrible finances that the former leadership left us in.
Right.
The total red. They left us totally in the red. I mean, $100 million operating deficit, $26 million of what we're calling fictitious funds. We just have absolutely no idea what they're talking about on their balance sheet. So there's a lot of really serious work that we're doing. But today is all about celebrating America, American independence. And, I'm really very excited to make sure that America's Cultural Center today is filled with music and joy. And, the symphony has actually, little known fact, been doing this concert on the Capitol for over 40 years.
Yeah.
And it's our symphony, right? We have this tremendous partnership at the Kennedy Center with the National Symphony Orchestra. And to have their performance all the way from the Capitol broadcast live onto the wall of the Reach. So you can sit outside, you can view this concert from the Kennedy Center's lawn, And then you just stick around for another half hour after and watch the fireworks.
Amazing.
I mean, it is going to be amazing.
Oh my goodness! Listen, I am envious. I am spouting fireworks with envy that I can't be there, Roma. But I'm thrilled for you guys. What are you most looking forward to over the next few months? What's on your bucket list to see at the Kennedy Center?
Oh, my goodness. Well, I'm really excited for Lindsey Sterling's concert with the National Symphony Orchestra. So she is well known in the modern world of music,
yes.
But the symphony actually does these collaborative concerts with modern musicians. And so it's just a really exciting way to, if you've never experienced the symphony orchestra, to come out and experience that. And then I'll tell you what, in our new season, and of course I'm biased because I used to be a professional ballet dancer.
I do.
I cannot wait to have the ballet companies that are coming this next year. I mean, it's unbelievable what we've got up our sleeve. It's just going to be fantastic. So make sure everybody, if you're listening, you don't have plans tonight, come to the Kennedy Center. It's totally free. You don't need a ticket. You can park underneath the building.
Wow.
That's available. It's very convenient, and it is kid-friendly beyond belief. So we hope to see all of our local families and visiting families come today, and, of course, continue to come back for all of the exciting programming.
Just no swimming or wading in the reflecting pools, please. Roma, congratulations on this gig. As I said, I'm thrilled for you. I'm thrilled for all of us that you're there. Have a glorious 4th of July.
Thank you. Happy Independence Day.
You're welcome. The Roma Daravi, she's the Vice President of Public Relations and the spokeswoman for the Kennedy Center. That's kennedy-center.org. It is 8:24 here on WMAL. Scotty Hughes going to be joining us in the next half hour, as well as my reading of the Declaration of Independence. Stay tuned. So much more to come here on a glorious 4th of July. O'Connor and Company, WMAL.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It is 8:36 on this glorious 4th of July on News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news. I'm Andrew Langer in for Larry O'Connor, as well as Patrice Onwuka, both of them taking a much-deserved Independence Day off. Joining us right now, so excited to have her on. Her name is Scotty Nell Hughes. She is now a senior fellow at Frontiers of Freedom. And Scotty, we just had on Emily Sturge from Campus Reform talking about the pro-patriotism shift in Gen Z. You're spending a lot of time thinking about young people and capturing the imagination of young people. You had a brilliant idea for that this week. Tell us all about it.
Absolutely. And thank you, Andrew. Happy 4th to you, the staff of WMAL, and everybody who is listening right now, because you obviously are patriots. If you wake up on the July 4th and you turn on WMAL, which is exactly like my household and what you bring up, Generation Z. So I, like so many parents, have children under the age of 21, high school, college. They are right now working this summer. They've fought hard to get a summer job. They get up in 7 in the morning when the rest of their friends are staying asleep, and they work all day only to come home and start calculating how much they made, or to get that paycheck and go, well wait a minute. Where did it go? Where did almost one fourth of my paycheck go? And to you and I, it might just be $20, $40, $50. But to them, that's a whole tank of gas.
Right.
That means them getting around for it is a really big deal. And it made me think when I watched my own son, Houston, who's actually been on WMAL before, when he actually came down and he was so excited because he had worked a full 14-hour day. I promise it's not child labor. And he started calculating how much money he had because he's going to college. And I looked at him and I was like, now take 22% of that away.
Oh, boy.
And he went, excuse me.
Yeah.
Now, he's been working since he was 16, so he understood it. But it made me realize with all of this outreach that the Democrats are doing to go after younger voters by saying we're going to cancel your student loans, what if the Republicans counter that by saying, you know what, if you have a job, if you're willing to wake up and go to work and you're either under 21, you're in college, and I'm even going to expand it thanks to your help, that if you are working on your graduate degree and you're under the age of 23, 25, if you're working on continuing your education, you don't need to pay any federal taxes.
Right.
And I think it's something that would really go over not only for students, but for their parents as well, who have seen how much the federal government taking from their kids' paycheck makes an effect.
Well, this also gets into why the no taxes on tips, no taxes on overtime is so important, because it generally skews to a lot of younger people who are working in jobs where they get tips, or where you're like Houston is doing, working tremendous amounts of overtime in their job. These things make sense. You know, you get that more money in your pocket. This is what you're talking about, isn't it, Scotty?
And I guarantee you, there is nobody that is going to reinvest in the economy than a teenager with $30 in the account. That money is going to be right back out there.
You know, that's a really good point. I hadn't thought about that. You talk about the injection into the economy, right? As you said, it's, you know, you're going and you're buying gas, you're going to the movies, you're going to go and buy whatever the latest video game is, or what have you. It used to be, Scotty, when you and I were kids, going and getting the latest DVD, or with me, VHS. But yeah, that's a CD, etc. That's what we're talking about here. It can be a huge boon. Let's talk about this. You're now a senior fellow at Frontiers. I mean, this is the kind of stuff you're going to be working on, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's common sense conservatism.
Yes.
And I think that's what we need to restore back into America today. And let me tell you, Andrew, last night I was actually working, now granted I'm here in Nashville, but I was working a local Republican booth. And in this booth, I've never seen more people, and regardless of where you felt about the big, beautiful bill, which side of the aisle you're on, people were excited. We did a local poll here. 90%, granted we're very red, are 90% favorable ratings for Donald Trump. Very red state, I get it. But still 90% holding on to it after all of the controversy and everything he's taken the last 5 months, 6 months since he's been in office. 90% are still sticking with Donald Trump. Republicans need to read that, and then they need to read that when their policies going forward, and that's exactly what Frontiers of Freedom is going to be looking at.
Here. Well, listen, Scotty, we're going to leave it there. You've been very gracious to give us this much of your Independence Day. Have a wonderful 4th, my friend.
You too. Thank you.
Take care. That was Scottie Nell Hughes. You can find her at Scottie, Scottien Hughes, on X. She's now a senior fellow at Frontiers of Freedom. I'm Andrew Langer. Oh, it's 8:41 here on O'Connor and Company, WMAL. Listen, no Independence Day would be complete without somebody reading the Declaration of Independence. I don't know where you are later on today. You may hear somebody else do this, but I put together a year ago some highlights. Not the highlights. The Declaration, just not all the charges against the king. But here I am. Here is my reading of the Declaration of Independence. In Congress, July 4, 1776. The unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as shall to them seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shewn that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty, to throw off such government, and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. And then Congress listed those facts. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince, whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant, is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Nor have we been wanting in our attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our immigration and settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity, and we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations, which would inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence. They, too, have been deaf to the voice of justice and of consanguinity. We must therefore acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation and hold them, as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace, friends. We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America in General Congress assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do, in the name and by authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that as free and independent states they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Some final thoughts on all of this in a moment. It's 8:51 here on O'Connor and Company, WMAL. You know, it has been a thin slice of heaven with all of you. You know, it's funny. I think I can read this. You know, I got a nice note from Scotty Hughes talking about how much she enjoyed coming on. Is a great way to start the day. You know, she said at the beginning of the interview, you know, being on America's radio station on Independence Day, it's a great way to start the day, or a great way to celebrate the day, and I appreciate that. You know, as I said, when Heather had me on and invited me to do this, I jumped at the chance. Obviously, I jump at any chance to come on and share some time with all of you, but it's especially important on a day like today. And I know we talked a lot about the divisions, and we talked a lot about the big, beautiful bill, but I think it's important on Independence Day, on the 4th of July, which, as I said, is one of my top three, right? I think Thanksgiving's still my favorite holiday. Maybe a close tie between Christmas and Independence Day. But, you know, the things that bring us together, the things that we celebrate that make us Americans. How am I going to celebrate my day? I'm going to celebrate it with family. You know, that's the most important thing to do. You know, have folks over, may go for a swim later on. I've started swimming now. That's my jam. Have folks over to grill, have some red meat, and watch fireworks tonight. You can always catch me. I do a lot of writing. I'm doing my work for CPAC as director of the Center for Regulatory Freedom and the chairman of the Coalition Against Socialized Medicine. But I do my Andrew and Jerry Save the World podcast with Jerry Rogers. We do the weekly lunch hour on the Federal Newswire, my deep dive into public policy. We just did a major series on the REINS Act, so go and check that out. And if you're not following me on Twitter, please do, at Andrew_Langer on the Twitter machines. Listen, I want to thank the folks here at WMAL as always. You know, from Bill to Heather, Derek, Vince, Chris, and of course Jeff, who sat in with me today and coordinated what was a very, very complicated clock schedule. Thank you all so very much for that.